Hey and welcome into the top 3 deadly opening traps for Blitz and Bullet, and the first one's really dope. And the really great thing about this opening trap is that it happens in one of the most played opening lines ever. Here, after white goes bishop c4, knight f6, the two knights defense, white goes knight g5, aiming to attack your f7 square, and in this position black usually plays pawn on d5, or sometimes bishop c5, but there is another move which seems really weird at first. It's the move knight takes e4. And when you play a move like that, it's very likely that your opponent will just think that you're a total beginner, you are not understanding what you're doing, because, not only you're not protecting the f7 pawn, which can now be captured, which would only also attack your queen and rook, you're also like giving away the knight. It's almost like give up chess, So it looks like you're doing something totally weird, but of course, there is a catch. Now, first of all, let me address the question, what if white just capture your knight? In this case, there is no problem for you whatsoever, because you go pawn on d5 with a double attack to the white's minor pieces, bishop and knight. Inevitably, you'll take one of them back on the next move, and you're just having a great position. But of course, the main question is, let me take a move back. So here, instead of taking your knight, the main idea for white was to capture your pawn on f7, and it looks like white can just go ahead and do this. Not only winning the pawn, but also attacking your heavy pieces, hoping to grab one of them. So it looks like white is just winning here. But there you go with queen to h4, threatening queen takes f2 checkmate. And at this point, your opponent thinks, oh, okay, he's so naive. Not only he blunders away all of his pieces, but he's also really hoping to checkmate me like this, in a super simple way. And so he goes pawn on g3, thinking that now you're done, because obviously he prevented you from that checkmate, and now in the next move he's going to capture your rook, the queen is attacked, looks like black is falling apart. However, this is precisely the moment for you to say something like and after that you play knight takes g3. All of a sudden, it backfires for white, and now white is actually losing. Let me show you how exactly it happens. First of all, you're attacking the rook. Not only you're destroying the white's position. White can't really capture with a pawn, because in this case, the pawn is pinned, and you can just go ahead and grab the rook, attack the king, and after king e2, you'll follow up with knight to d4. So here, white is done. So this variation certainly doesn't work for white. But what if he recaptures with a pawn? In this case, you go queen to e4, and you're attacking a whole lot of the pieces in the white's position, the king, the rook, and the bishop. And now you're certainly winning, because you're also going to capture the rook with a check, which is also important. So white has no time to do anything apart from just protecting their king. For example, if they go king f1, you just capture the rook, checking the king. If king goes forward, there is a lot that you can do actually, but you can go knight to d4, and on the next move, while the king goes away, you'll just capture the queen, and here you're totally winning. White lost a lot of material, and his king is exposed and will probably be checkmated very soon after something like queen to f3. Alright, now we're back to the starting position for this trap, the two knights defense. At this point you go knight takes e4. So far we already saw that if white recaptures back, it's not dangerous for you. Just push the pawn to d5 and you take one of the pieces back. Therefore, this is not a problem for you. If white tries to capture your pawn, just like we have already analyzed after queen h4, you're actually winning here. So that is also bad for white. Now, what white should do? Is it just to, resign and give up chess? No, definitely there must be the way for white. The way is to take the pawn with a bishop. But the good thing about this trap is that even after that, white is very unlikely to find the correct continuation. And I checked it in the database, so you're safe here. Most players cannot find the right moves for white here. After bishop takes f7, king e7 is forced. And in this position, the correct move for white, which puts most trouble for black, is actually pawn on d4. But it's really hard to find such a move during a real practical game. And most players, they just go ahead and take your knight, which is not dangerous. By the way, if they go pawn on d3, which is also not that dangerous, you just shouldn't take the knight, obviously, because in this case, they'll recapture with the bishop and win your queen. But if you just move your knight back, you're good to go. White is perhaps more active here, but it's still perfectly playable for you here. So the correct move for white is d4, but again, most likely your opponents will never find it, and they'll capture the knight, which is what they do in the vast majority of the games. And here, black is still doing perfectly okay. You're capturing the bishop, then after a queen of 3 check, you go back to e8, and yes, you You can't castle anymore because your king made a couple moves, but you have, good center. Your other pawn is ready to push. The knight is ready to jump to d4 to attack the queen as well as that pawn on c2. You've got 2 bishops. Therefore, you've got plenty of the good things in this position as well. And yeah, let me just show you one more line here, which can happen. Again, it's the most played moves actually. White usually plays pawn on d3. You go pawn on d5 to kick off that knight. They go knight g5. You go queen f6. To cover the f7 square. You're seemingly sacrificing the pawn on d5, but you're once again ready to trap your opponent. And again, most likely your opponents are going to fall right into this trap. Because here you go knight to d4, and there is no good way for white to stop you from capturing the pawn and then the rook in the corner, okay? If white plays queen to c4, which looks like the only option for white really to protect the pawn, then you go pawn to b5 and you drive this queen away and you're going to capture the pawn anyway. So here it's already time for white to resign. For example, if they capture the pawn firstly, you keep chasing the queen, you go bishop d6, attacking the queen, and now there is no good way for white. You may wonder, what if they go queen to c3 to keep protecting the pawn? Well, you tell me. Please think about this. I'm sure you can find the winning continuation for black here, but you'll need to give it a little thinking. So think about this and write it down in comments below. How should black play here? And actually, this is really, really practical because the line that I've shown you so far is actually the most popular line in this variation. Therefore, you have the chance to actually go ahead and execute the next move in your practical game.